Hello students, in this video I am going to discuss about functions and strings in C programming language. Function is a program segment that takes 0 or more inputs, process them and perform a specific task. Once it completes the task, it returns a single value or result. In simpler terms, a function is a group of statements bundled together to carry out a particular operation. There are two types of functions. One is user-defined function, another one is built-in or library function. Let's see first what is user-defined function. User-defined functions are created by programmer for the specific task. Depending upon the problem statement, a programmer can create a group of statements inside the function and call the function wherever it necessary. This is the overall structure of C program with function. It has three important parts. One is function declaration, second one is function calling, third one is function definition. Before discussing these topics, we realize the need for the function. The function mostly used for code reusability. We can create our own function only once. We can call it any number of times in the main function. That is called reusable. Second one is code maintenance. So if your program can have 10 different functionality means we can write 10 different functions. So we can easily maintain the code. If there any error occurred during the execution, we can easily identify and resolve that error. For this reason, function can be used. Let's discuss these three parts of the function. First one is function declaration. Function declaration is similar to variable declaration. When we are creating our own function, we should declare the function in the beginning of the main function. This function declaration informs to the compiler about the output and name of the function and what are the input needed for the function. This is the syntax for function declaration. First one is function return type, that is, it tells about the data type of the output. This is the function name and this part is the input of the function. It is called as list of arguments or list of parameters. So the function declaration contains three important parts. One is function return type, second one is function name, third one is list of arguments. And this one is the example for function declaration. Suppose we want to write a function, it adds two numbers and produce the result means the function declaration should be like this. It returns the integer value, the function name is addition, it accepts two values. This is one more example. So it does not return any value. So the return type is void. Void is one type of data type. It tells the return type is nothing. If the function does not return any value, we can mention as void as a return type. So function declaration over. Second part is function calling. Function calling is nothing but we can invoke the function wherever it necessary. If we declare a function like this, it can be called in this manner. This function can accept two integer value, so I can pass two values here. Then it returns the integer value. So after execution of this function, it returns one integer value that can be accepted by the another integer value. And this is the another example. If the function declaration like this, then function calling statement looks in this manner. This function accepts one integer value, so I can pass only one integer value here and it returns nothing. So we cannot assign any integer value here. So function calling is over. The last part is function definition. Function definition is nothing but actual coding of the function. It is a collection of statements to achieve the particular task. In the function definition, it contains two parts. One is function header, second one is function body. Function header is also called prototype of the function. This is the syntax for function definition. It contains function return type, function name and list of arguments. This function header is called prototype of the function. In between the open brace and closed brace, this part is called function body. So these two parts collectively called function definition. So when we write a C program using function, we should define a function, then we should declare the function, then we should call the function wherever the necessary places. Let's see one example. Suppose we want to add two integer number, we can write a function like this. It returns integer value. So the return type is integer. Function name is addition. We want to add two numbers. So this function accepts two values. So inside the function definition, the function body tells what is the actual code. We want to add these two numbers. So I can create one temporary variable. The temporary variable hold the addition of this result and I return that variable. In a function calling statement, after calling this function, it returns one integer value. So I want to save that value in a integer variable. That variable is C. This is the user defined function. So I need to declare that function in the beginning of the program. So I mentioned that prototype here. The function declaration as well as function prototype both are same. Only the difference is we should include the semicolon in the function declaration. Don't add any semicolon in the function prototype. When we write this code without the function it looks like this. So this is the actual program to add two integer number. We want to write the user defined function to carry out the same task. This function can be declared in the beginning of the main function and it can be called after assigning the a and b values. Let's execute this program using Turbo C3 compiler. So in this program we want to add two numbers a and b. The value is 10 plus 20. So the addition is 30. Suppose we want to add three numbers. I can add the code like this. So I can add one more argument here. So I change the prototype also. So here I want to add three integers and produce the result. And I need three arguments. So C equal to 30 and the result can be stored in D. So in this program it contains three arguments. So I should pass the three values here. So just check the function prototype. So integer is a return type, addition is the function name. It accepts three integer values. So it should be declared here. So three values means we should pass the three values here. And after return the addition function, the value should be stored in the new variable called D. Print the value D here. So I save the program and compile it and run the program. So the result is 60. So depending upon the situation, we can add the number of arguments as per the problem statement and achieve the particular task. Suppose if you want to find the area of circle or area of triangle means we can write a separate function here and get the necessary number of inputs that should be declared here and it can be called in the appropriate number of arguments. So in this way, we can write our own function in our C program. So let's conclude what are the important content needed to write a user-defined function. First one is function declaration, second one is function calling, and third one is function definition. And this is the prototype. Prototype tells what is the return type, that is the output data type of the function. Function always return only one value. That data type should be mentioned as return type. And function can accept any number of input, that is called function arguments or function parameters. So once we write the function, that function should be declared here and it can be called using appropriate number of arguments. Then we can practice these programs using function. We already write the program for addition of two numbers and addition of three numbers. Suppose if you want to find the factorial of given numbers using function, we can write the separate function for finding the factorial value. So this is the example program for finding factorial. So first I want to write a function definition here. So function definition contains first function prototype. It returns integer value. The function name is factorial. It accepts only one input. So in this function body, I can write the code to find the factorial value. So after executing this code, it returns the factorial value. So this function should be declared in the beginning of the main function. And after reading the n value, I can call this function like this. This is the function name and this is the number of argument. The only one argument is there, so I can pass the only one argument in this function call. So after executing this code, it returns one value to the another integer variable. So I already declared the integer variable f. So f contains the actual factorial value. So in this way, we can find the factorial value of the given number using the function. The next program is to find the addition of n numbers. So I can write the add function here. So in this function definition, I create one array with the n number of values. This n can be passed through this variable x. The n value is 5, so the array can be created with 5 integer elements. So in this for loop, I repeat the code 5 times and get the individual array elements and return the addition of all values. So this return value can be taken from the another integer variable. So once the function calling statement is executed, the f contains the addition of n numbers. Whenever you write the user-defined function inside the C program, you should ensure the function declaration, function calling statement, and function definition. The next program is to find the student is eligible for voting or not. So in this function, I need only one input, that is age. The age can be read from this variable called x. So this is the function definition. I declare the function here and it can be called in this place. So this function cannot return any value. So the return type is void. So in a function calling statement, we simply call the function name as well as argument. For the remaining function, you can try it your own. You just compare function prototype as well as function calling. If the function prototype looks like this, you can call the function in this manner. If the function returns something means it can be received by another variable. Suppose function prototype contains 3 arguments means you should pass the 3 variables here. And the function return type is void means you just mention the function name only. There is a closed relationship between the prototype and function calling. Depending upon the return type, depending upon the number of arguments, the function calling can be differ. And this one is another example. This function can accept nothing. So we cannot pass anything in the function calling statement. So depending upon the function prototype, you can call the function in an appropriate manner. The next topic is pass by value and pass by reference. It is otherwise called call by value and call by reference. Pass by value is nothing but when we call the function, we can pass the actual value. In pass by reference, when we call the function, we pass the address of the particular value. So in this previous example, we saw about how to find the voting eligibility. In the function calling, we can pass the value directly. So this program is example for pass by value or call by value. So whatever the age we typed here, that value can be passed through this variable. Instead of passing actual variable, we can also able to pass the address of the variable. Then it is called pass by reference. The example program is swapping of given two integer. So in this program, we can initially have two values a equal to 5 and b equal to 10. We want to swap these two values. Swapping means we want to interchange these two values. So a equal to 5, b equal to 10 before swapping. Then after swapping, b value can be assigned into a and a value can be assigned into b. So this is a swapping program. So in this program, we can pass the value directly. We need not use any address values. So this program is example for pass by value. Then we can write the same program for pass by reference by passing the address value. So this is the example for pass by reference value. So in which we can call the function using the address values. So these two arguments are addressed. The prototype can be declared like this. That means using the pointer variables. So we can get the interchange results. This can be achieved through the passing the address instead of passing the actual value. So this is the main difference of passing value and passing reference. The next topic is pass array to a function. So we already know when a function call, we can pass a value. This value may also be an array. So in this example, I can create one array. That array can be passed as an argument to this function. So in this example, I create one array having the 5 initial values. Then I create a one function. It prints the array content. So it accepts the array as one of the argument and number of values in the array. So inside the function definition, I can repeat the code up to n number of times and print the array value one by one. So this function should be declared here and it can be called like this. Let's execute this program. So it displays the array content. We can also pass the particular element of the array in the argument of the function. So in this example, I create one array with initial values. I can pass the one of the element as the argument. So this is the single element. So the prototype looks like this. If the user enters any one of the value between the 0 and 4, I can call this print array function using this argument value. So this is one of the array content. N is, suppose n value is 0 means that is 4. That 4 value can be passed through this print array function. So in the function definition, it can be accepted from the variable n and that can be printed here. So depending upon the index value given by the user, that particular element can be printed in the function definition. Let's execute this program. So it asks to enter the index value. So I first give the 0 index. That is, I want to print the first value. So the first value is 4. I execute this program again. Now I give the value 10. There is no 10th index in the array. So it produces the error message. Index is out of range. So you can pass the any one of the array element as an argument. The next part is we can call the function from one function into another function. So before that, we should know one thing. In a single program, we can write any number of functions, but the execution starts from the main function only. So in this main function, I can call the first function called function 1. In this function 1, I can call the second function called function 2 that can be defined separately. So before executing this program, we should ensure whether these two functions are declared here and these two functions are called properly. So the first function is called inside the main function, the second function called inside the first function. So when I execute this program, the first function on call is executed. So the control can be transferred here. So this is F1 can be printed as the output. Then after executing this function definition, the function 2 can be called. So the control can be transferred here. So this statement can be executed. So we can get this is F2 as output. So after executing it, the control can be written back to the after the function on calling statement. So we can get the n as the output. So in this way, we can call the one function from another function. Just imagine we can call the function in the same function. So in this example, I can write the main function here. In this main function, I can call the function called function 1. So control can be transferred here. It print F1. Then it calls the same function again. Then it prints again F1. This process is continued up to infinitive number of times. Let's try to execute this program. So this program can continuously executing the same code again and again. So when we write the recursive function, we should stop the flow of execution at the particular part using the programming mechanism. So in this example, the demo function calls itself, but at the particular condition, it can be exit from the execution flow. So function call itself, it's called recursive function. It should be called in the particular condition only. Otherwise, it executed infinitive number of times. The best example for recursive function is called finding the factorial value. So in this function definition, I can check the value is greater than 1 or not. If it is greater than, I can call the function again with the x minus 1 value. This function can be repeated up to n number of times and produce the factorial result here. Then we discuss what is the advantage and disadvantage of recursive function. When we write the recursive function, our code becomes small, but our program becomes complex and it is very hard to debug if any error occurs. And the next topic is function pointer. It is nothing but to point the address of the particular function. We can call the function indirectly by means of pointer. So in this example, I can create two different user-defined functions. One is called add, second one is called subtract. I declare these two functions in a single line using the pointer variable. So once you declare like this, we can assign the particular function name to this particular pointer variable. Then we can call this function. Then the appropriate function can be called. So using this function pointer, we can call any number of functions at the runtime. So when we execute this program, we can get the output like this: addition 15 and subtraction 5. So using the runtime, we can call the appropriate function that can be achieved by the function pointer. This function pointer concept can be used in callback mechanisms, event-driven programming, and dynamic function call. So far, we discussed about what is user-defined function and how to write user-defined function with example programs. Now we discuss about the next part called built-in function or library function. Library functions are inbuilt functions that can be already present in the C compiler. These are all some example library functions. These functions comes under the input-output header file called stdio.h, and these functions comes under the formatted output called conio.h, and these functions are mathematical functions, and these functions called string-related functions, and these functions are called time-related functions. So in this way, so many header files are already available in C language. We can include appropriate header file and call the necessary functions as we want. So in this example program, I can include the math.h library file and call the square root function. Square root is the inbuilt function present in the math.h. So in this program, I want to find the square root of the given number. So the given number is 25. That 25 is passed as an argument and it returns the floating point number that can be received by the another variable b. So when I execute this program, I can get the result 5. So up to this we discussed about the functions with the example program. Now we discuss about the string. String is nothing but a sequence of characters. There is no separate string data type here. We already have the character data type. When we declare a character as an array, it is treated as string. And all the string variables are ended with null character. So when we declare a string variable using the data type called character, when we declare the variable inside the computer, the memory can be allotted like this. So there are 20 spaces are created. The index of the location starts from 0. The total characters are 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including blank space 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and ended with null character. Totally 13 characters are needed to store this string. So totally 13 spaces are allocated. So 0 to 12. Remaining spaces are not in use. So string is nothing but a single dimensional array variable. So we learned how to create a string variable as well as assigning an initial value. Let's see how to get a string values from the keyboard. The first step is using the scanf and printf statements. When we read the string variable, we can use the format specifier as %s. So first I try to get the string variable from the keyboard and store in the variable called str. Then I print the result. I execute this program. I try to enter the one string that can be displayed here. The string values can be also get from the keyboard in the second way used as getS and putS functions. So in this example, we can read the string using getS and print the string using putS. So I can get the value. The string can be read and print using fgetS and fputS functions also. So in these functions, we can give the extra argument as integer value. This tells how many characters we used in this string, and we should mention the standard input device. So standard input device is keyboard and standard output device is called monitor. So we can restrict the number of characters when we are receiving the string input. So in this example, I restricted the number of characters present in the string is 5. So I execute this program. First I type the string which are less than the 5 characters and I can get the string like this. I execute the same program again. Now I give the continuous value more than the 5 characters, but it produces only 4 characters, that is including null character, it produces 5 characters only. So using this fgetS function, we can restrict the number of input from the entered string. In a string, we have so many library functions have to achieve the so many string operations. So that we include the string.h library. So these are all the different library functions available in string. For example, if you want to reverse the string, we can use strrev function. If you want to compare two strings equal or not, we can use strcmp function. Before using this library function, we should know the prototype. For example, strrev function prototype is return type is void and it accepts only one string variable. So using this prototype only, we should understand how to call this function. So we should pass the only one string variable here and call by the function name only. But in this case, the prototype tells the return type is integer number and it accepts two string values. So we pass two string values here and it returns the integer value that can be received by the another integer variable. So depending upon the prototype, we should write the appropriate function call. So I listed very few string functions here, but in the Turbo C compiler, go to the help window and go to the index, type string.h, in which it contains so many library functions. If you want to change the given string into lowercase, you can click here and it gives the sample code also. So using this code, we can easily write the so many string operations available in the string library functions. Let's check one example program to demonstrate the string library function. The program to find the given string is palindrome or not. Palindrome means if we reverse the string, we can get the same value. Let's see how to solve this problem using the string library functions. So in this program, I create two different string variables s1 and s2. I can get the string value from the keyboard and assign into s1. Then I can copy the s1 into s2 using string copy library function. So now s1 and s2 having the same value. Then I reverse the s1 string value. Then I compare s1 and s2. If both the strings are same, this string compare function returns the value 0. So using the if condition, I can check whether the n value is 0 or not. If the value is 0, I print the given string is palindrome. Otherwise, it is not palindrome. Let's execute this program. First, I type the value India. India is not a palindrome. I execute this program again. Now I type the value Malayalam. When we reverse the string, we can get the same value. So this string is a palindrome. So using this collection of string library functions, we can achieve the particular task. Let's compare the library function as well as user-defined function. Library functions are inbuilt functions are predefined functions, whereas user-defined functions are created by the programmer. These functions are stored already inside the header files. These functions are created by the programmer, written inside the program. When we use the library function, it is simple and ready to use. But if you want to use the user-defined function, it should be defined first and declared, and then only we can use this user-defined function. And the structure can be looks like this. When we use the library function, we should include the necessary header files and call the appropriate function. But in user-defined function, we should define that function and declare it, then only we can call that function. The advantages of the functions are we can repeat the code whenever we necessary. We can write the function definition at only once and we can call any number of times. It reduces the size of the program and it gives the more readability when we are writing the program using the functions. When the error occurs, we can easily debug the errors. So in this video, we discuss about how to use the function and strings in C programming. You can download the notes available in the description link. If you have any query, you can comment. All the best.